Thanks a lot for choosing this video today. I know you have 100 other things you could be doing, so I genuinely appreciate you spending this time on your English. Before we jump in, let me ask you for a quick favor. If you enjoy long, realistic listening practice that helps you speak more clearly and confidently, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. It helps the channel reach more learners, and it also helps me understand who I'm making these lessons for. Now, this session is for advanced learners, especially if you're aiming for C1 or C2. That means you're not just trying to understand English. You want to sound natural, you want your thoughts to come out smoothly. You want to handle real conversations with calm, clear, confident speech. And if you've ever felt this, you're not alone. You listen to English and you understand it. You can read articles, watch videos, follow podcasts. But when it's your turn to speak, everything suddenly feels slower. The ideas are in your head, but the words don't land the way you want them to. You hesitate. You second-guess yourself. You rephrase mid-sentence. You sound more stiff than you are in real life. This is exactly what we're going to train today. Here's how to use this video. Don't just listen passively. Listen like you're part of the conversation. When you hear a sentence that sounds useful, pause for a second and repeat it out loud. If you can't pause, that's fine. Repeat in your head. Even that helps. Your job is to build familiarity, to make English feel automatic. Let's start with a simple warm-up question. When you think of someone who speaks English at a truly advanced level, what stands out to you? Do you picture someone speaking fast, using big words, never making mistakes? A lot of learners imagine advanced English as something flashy, but real high-level English is usually the opposite. It's calm, it's clear, it's controlled. It's someone who can explain an idea without getting lost. Someone who can disagree without creating tension. Someone who can tell a story and keep it interesting. Someone who can speak with warmth, with nuance, with purpose. At C1 and C2, it's not about showing off. It's about being understood and understanding others in a deeper way. So today, we're going to practice English that sounds real. The kind of English people use when they're talking about their routines, their stress, their goals, their relationships, their opinions, their doubts, and the way they see the world. Let's ease in with something familiar, daily habits. Because whether you're learning English, building a career, or trying to improve your health, habits quietly shape everything. Think about your average day. Where does English naturally fit in? Do you listen while you cook, while you commute, while you clean your room, while you take a walk? Or does English only happen when you study, like it's a separate activity? Here's a mindset shift that helps a lot of advanced learners. Instead of treating English like a subject, treat it like a background language in your life, something that's around you often, in small doses. Because consistency beats intensity. Let me say that again, because it's worth remembering. Consistency beats intensity. A short listening session every day can do more than one long session once a week. Not because long sessions are bad, but because your brain learns through repeated exposure. it needs the same patterns to show up again and again until they feel normal. Now, notice what happens when a phrase becomes normal for you. You stop translating it. You stop thinking about grammar. You just know what it means. Let's try a few everyday advanced phrases. Listen, and see if they feel familiar, or if you still translate them. On and off, every now and then, for the most part, at the end of the day, from my point of view. That being said, it depends. I see what you mean. These phrases are simple, but they carry a lot of real conversational power. Fluent speakers lean on phrases like these all the time. So, here's your first mini challenge. Over the next few minutes, try to catch yourself. If you mentally translate, just notice it. Don't judge it. Just notice it. Because awareness is the first step toward thinking in English. Now, let's move into something that affects almost everyone. The way modern life has changed communication. Think about how people actually talk these days. A lot of communication happens through short messages, quick replies, voice notes, DMs, comments. People don't always speak in full sentences. They use fragments, they use tone, they use context, they use emojis and punctuation to show emotion. And honestly, that changes how we express ourselves. Sometimes it makes communication easier. You can stay connected. You can respond quickly. You can reach people across the world. But there's another side to it. Some conversations feel shallow. People misunderstand each other more easily. And face-to-face conversations can feel less common than they used to. So let's practice talking about that like an advanced speaker. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Don't rush. Answer in your head or speak out loud. How has technology changed the way you communicate with friends or family? Do you think people are more connected now or more distracted? When you have something serious to say, do you prefer texting, calling, or talking in person? Now, an advanced answer usually isn't extreme. It often sounds balanced. It shows both sides. Here's a natural pattern you can use. On the one hand, technology makes it easier to stay in touch. On the other hand, I think it can make conversations feel less personal. Try repeating that structure. On the one hand, on the other hand. Here's another useful one. I don't think it's completely good or completely bad. I think it depends on how you use it. That's real C1, C2 English. Not dramatic, not overly academic, just clear and thoughtful. Now let's shift to a skill that quietly changes your fluency more than you might expect. Active listening. A lot of people listen just enough to respond. They're already planning their reply while the other person is talking. They're waiting for a pause so they can jump in. But active listening is different. You listen to understand, not just to answer. And in English, active listening gives you two huge advantages. First, it helps you catch meaning even when you miss a few words. Second, it helps you respond in a way that feels natural, because you're reacting to the person, not just the sentence. Imagine someone says, "I've been a bit all over the place lately." A basic response might be, "Okay." A more natural response might be, "Yeah, I get that. Is it work, or is it just life in general?" Notice how that response does three things. It shows understanding, it asks a follow-up question, and it keeps the conversation moving. Let's practice a few more natural reactions you can use right away. That makes sense. I can relate to that. I've been there. I hear you. That sounds like a lot. That must be exhausting. I didn't see that coming. I'm not surprised. Honestly. These aren't fancy phrases. They're everyday phrases. But they signal fluency because they match real life. Now, as you listen to this video, I want you to do one more thing. Don't chase perfection. Chase clarity. If you say something clearly, with a natural rhythm, people will understand you, even if your grammar isn't perfect, even if you pause, even if you choose a simpler word. Advanced speakers don't speak perfectly. They speak effectively. So let's take a breath and move into a deeper topic that C1 and C2 speakers deal with all the time: expressing complex ideas without overcomplicating your language. Because the goal is not to sound complicated. The goal is to sound clear, confident, human. And as we continue, you'll hear more real-life questions, more natural answers, and more phrases you can actually use when you're speaking with people at work, at school, online, or in everyday situations. Now, let's make this practical. A lot of advanced learners have the same problem. You can talk about simple topics just fine. But when the conversation gets deeper, you start losing control. Your sentences get longer, your thinking gets messy, and you end up sounding unsure even when you have a strong opinion. So we're going to train a different habit. We're going to practice speaking in layers. Layer 1 is your main point, one clear sentence. Layer 2 is your reason, one supporting sentence. Layer 3 is an example or detail, one sentence that makes it feel real. This is how fluent speakers stay clear, even when the topic is complex. Let's test it with a topic almost everyone can relate to: expectations. Expectations from your family. Expectations at work, expectations from society, and the expectations you put on yourself. Here are a few questions. Answer in your mind first. Then, if you can, say your answer out loud. What's one expectation you feel right now in your life? Do you find it motivating, or does it feel heavy? Do you think you're harder on yourself than other people are? Now, listen to a natural advanced response. Notice how it uses layers. I think expectations can be helpful, but they can also create pressure. I feel motivated when expectations are realistic, but I struggle when I feel like I can't breathe. For example, when I'm trying to meet too many deadlines at once, I start second-guessing everything. That's clear. That's human. That's not perfect grammar. It's just real. Try repeating the first sentence with your own words. I think expectations can be helpful, but they can also create pressure. Now, a few useful phrases that come up in these kinds of conversations. I feel like there's a lot on my plate. I'm trying to keep up. I'm doing my best. But it's been a lot lately. I'm putting too much pressure on myself. I'm learning to set healthier boundaries. That last one is powerful, setting boundaries. At advanced levels, it's not only about being polite, It's about being clear without being cold. Let's practice a few boundary sentences that sound natural in real life. I'd love to help, but I can't commit to that right now. I need a little time to think about it. I'm not comfortable discussing that. To be honest, I'm trying to be more protective of my time. That doesn't really work for me, but I'm open to another option. Notice the tone. It's direct, but not aggressive. Now, let's move into another core skill: disagreeing without creating tension. If you're working internationally, or studying abroad, or even just talking online, you will disagree with people. That's normal. What matters is how you do it. Here are a few natural ways to disagree at an advanced level. Listen and repeat the ones you like. I see what you mean, but I don't fully agree. That's a fair point. But I think there's another side to it. I get your perspective. I just see it a bit differently. I'm not completely convinced. To be honest, I might be wrong, but here's how I see it. Now, let's put it into a realistic mini conversation. Imagine your coworker says, "I think we should finish this quickly, even if it's not perfect." You could say, "I get what you mean. Speed matters. But I'm a little concerned about quality. If we rush too much, we might create more work later." That's a calm disagreement. You're not attacking the person. You're explaining your concern. Repeat this useful pattern. I get what you mean, but I'm concerned about... Now, the next skill is one that instantly makes you sound more fluent. Using softeners. Softeners are phrases that make your speech sound less harsh, less absolute, and more natural. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," you say, "I'm not sure that's the best way to look at it." Instead of saying, "That's a bad idea," you say, "I can see the intention, but I'm not sure it would work in practice." Here are some softeners you can use in real life. "I'm not sure. I could be mistaken. I'm still thinking it through. It's hard to say. It depends on the context. That's not always the case. I wouldn't go that far." Repeat this one, because it's extremely common. I wouldn't go that far. Now let's shift into something many learners overlook: the feeling of sounding too formal. If you're advanced, you probably know a lot of formal English, but real-life English often sounds lighter and more flexible. Native speakers use small phrases to keep things moving. Let's practice a set of everyday conversational tools. To be honestly, the thing is, let me think. That's a good question. Now that you mention it, come to think of it. I mean, you know what I mean. These phrases do something important. They give you time to think without stopping the conversation. They make your speech feel alive. Now let's talk about confidence. Because advanced English and confidence are connected. Here's a truth that many people don't like, but it helps. Confidence usually comes after action, not before it. You don't wait until you feel confident. You practice, you speak, you make mistakes, you recover, and then confidence slowly shows up. So let's practice a real-life confidence topic: routines. Think about your daily routine and answer this question. Do you practice English on purpose, or only when you have spare time? Now, here's a natural advanced answer. To be honest, I'm trying to make English part of my daily routine. even if I only do 10 minutes. I feel better when I stay consistent, when I stop for a few days. I notice I become less confident. That sounds real. Right. It sounds like something someone would actually say. Now repeat this structure. It's a great C1, C2 structure. Even if I only listen for 10 minutes, I feel more connected to the language. Now, let's level up your emotional vocabulary. Because C1 and C2 conversations often involve emotions, stress, pressure, uncertainty, and motivation. Basic emotions are fine, but advanced speakers often name emotions more precisely. Instead of tired, you might say, I'm drained, or I'm wiped out, or I'm running on empty. Instead of sad, you might say, I'm a bit down, or I feel heavy, or I'm not myself lately. Instead of nervous, you might say, I'm on edge, or I feel uneasy, or I'm a little out of my depth. Here are some phrases that sound natural and mature. I've been feeling overwhelmed lately. I'm trying to stay grounded. I feel a bit stuck. If I'm honest, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm relieved, but still worried. I'm doing okay, just mentally tired. Now, a quick reflection question. Answer it in English in your head. What emotion have you felt recently that's hard to explain? Now try this sentence starter. It's hard to put into words, but I feel like I'm carrying a lot mentally. That's advanced. That's real. Next, let's practice a skill that shows true fluency. Paraphrasing. Fluent speakers don't repeat the same words again and again. They say the same idea in a slightly different way. Here's a simple example. I'm busy this week. I've got a lot going on this week. Same meaning, different phrasing. Try a few more. I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. I can't say for certain. I'm stressed. I'm under pressure. I'm feeling the weight of it. I need rest. I need a break. I need to recharge. Now, let's keep going. In the next section, we'll focus on storytelling, speaking with structure, and sounding confident when you're explaining your thoughts in longer conversations, like interviews, meetings, and deeper personal discussions. Now, let's talk about storytelling, because this is one of the fastest ways to sound truly advanced. When people say, I want to speak fluently, they often mean, I want to tell a story without getting stuck, not a dramatic story, just real-life storytelling, explaining what happened at work, describing a difficult week, sharing a moment that changed your perspective, talking about a decision you made and why you made it. At C1 and C2, storytelling is where you show control. You're not just using English, you're guiding the listener through time, emotion, and meaning. So here's a simple structure you can rely on anytime. It's natural, and native speakers use it without thinking. First, set the scene. When and where. Then, what happened? Then, how did you feel? Then, what changed? Then, what did you learn? Or what do you think about it now? Let's practice with a realistic example. Listen to the flow. A couple of weeks ago, I had one of those days where everything felt slightly off. Nothing was a disaster, but I couldn't focus, and I felt behind before I even started. I went into work telling myself I'd catch up, but then one small thing after another kept piling up. By the afternoon, I was frustrated with myself, but later that night, I realized I wasn't actually lazy. I was just mentally overloaded, so I decided to simplify the next day instead of pushing harder. Looking back, that was a good reminder that rest is sometimes the most productive choice. That's a full story, but it's still everyday English. Notice the phrases. A couple of weeks ago, one of those days, slightly off, kept piling up, frustrated with myself, mentally overloaded, looking back. A good reminder. Those phrases are gold. They're natural, they're common, and they make your speech sound effortless. Now try repeating this sentence out loud, slowly. I had one of those days where everything felt slightly off. And this one small thing after another kept piling up. Now, I want you to practice with your own life. Think of a moment recently that made you feel something strong. It could be stress, relief, excitement, disappointment, pride, anything. And answer these questions in your mind. When did it happen? What happened exactly? What were you thinking in that moment? What changed afterward? What did you learn? Now, let's give you the language that helps you move through a story smoothly. Transitions. At first, then, after that, eventually, in the end, looking back. What surprised me was, the funny thing is, the part that stuck with me was, let's do a short story with those transitions. At first, I didn't think it was a big deal. Then I realized it was affecting my mood more than I wanted to admit. After that, I started paying attention to my habits, and eventually I made a few small changes. Looking back, I'm glad I noticed it early. That's clean, clear, and advanced. Now let's shift into a type of speaking that many advanced learners need for real life. Explaining your thoughts in a structured way, especially at work or in interviews. This is where people often panic because they feel like they need perfect vocabulary, but you don't. You need structure. Here's a simple pattern that works in meetings, discussions, and presentations. Here's the situation. Here's the challenge. Here's what I suggest. Here's why. Let's practice with a workplace example. So here's the situation. Our schedule is getting tighter, and people are starting to feel stretched. The main challenge is that we're trying to move fast without burning everyone out. What I'd suggest is we prioritize the most important tasks and push the rest to next week. The reason I'm saying that is because if we rush everything, we'll end up making mistakes, and that will slow us down later. Notice the phrases, the main challenges. What I'd suggest is, the reason I'm saying that is, repeat this one, because it's extremely useful. What I'd suggest is, now let's do a common professional moment. Someone asks for your opinion in a meeting. What do you think? A basic answer is, I don't know. An advanced answer sounds like this. I haven't thought about it deeply yet, but my initial reaction is that it could work. That being said, I'd want to look at the risks before we commit. That's real. That's mature. That's clear. try repeating it. That being said, I'd want to look at the risks before we commit. Now let's practice how to ask for clarification. Another advanced skill, because fluent speakers don't pretend they understand. They clarify calmly. Here are some natural phrases. Just to make sure I understand. Are you saying, "Could you walk me through that again?" When you say X, what do you mean exactly? Sorry, can you clarify one part for me? Let me repeat what I heard, and you can tell me if I'm off. That last one is very natural. Let me repeat what I heard, and you can tell me if I'm off. Now, we're going to move into something that shows emotional intelligence, which is a big part of sounding advanced, responding to people's emotions. A lot of learners can talk about facts, but they struggle when the conversation becomes emotional. Someone shares stress, someone shares disappointment, someone shares good news, and you want to respond in a way that sounds human. So here are a few real-life mini dialogues. Imagine you're in the conversation. Someone says, "I've been under a lot of pressure lately." You could respond, "Yeah, I'm sorry you're dealing with that. What's been the main thing causing the stress?" Or you could say, "That sounds exhausting. Are you getting any time to rest?" Notice you're not giving advice immediately. You're acknowledging, then asking. Another one. Someone says, "I didn't get the opportunity I wanted." You could respond, "That's really disappointing. You must feel frustrated. Do you want to talk about it? Or do you need a break from thinking about it?" That's advanced communication. It's careful. It's respectful. Now let's practice expressing good news too. Someone says, "I finally passed my exam." You could respond, "That's amazing. I know you worked hard for that. You should be proud of yourself." Or, "That's a huge relief." Isn't it? How are you feeling now? That's natural. That's warm. That's human. Now, let's go into a theme that comes up constantly in advanced conversations around the world: time, energy, and burnout. People everywhere talk about being busy, but advanced speakers often talk about it more precisely. Instead of saying, "I'm busy," you might say, "I've been swamped," or "I've had a lot on my plate," or "My schedule has been packed." Instead of saying, "I'm tired," you might say, "I'm running low on energy," or "I'm mentally drained," or "I'm feeling worn out." Here are some natural sentences you'll hear in real life. "I've been juggling a lot lately. I'm trying to stay on top of everything. I feel like I'm constantly playing catch-up. I've been neglecting rest, and I'm starting to feel it. I need to slow down before I burn out." Repeat this one. I feel like I'm constantly playing catch-up. Now, let's bring it back to your English practice. Because if you're watching a 2-hour video like this, you probably care about growth, and growth requires balance. So here's a realistic question for you. Do you push yourself too hard, or do you struggle to stay consistent? An advanced answer might sound like this. Honestly, I go through phases. Sometimes I'm extremely motivated and I do a lot. Then I burn out and I disappear for a while. I'm trying to find a steadier rhythm, even if it's slower. That is an honest, natural, advanced answer. Try repeating. I'm trying to find a steadier rhythm, even if it's slower. Now, in the next section, we're going to go deeper into real-life conversations about relationships, personal growth, and the way people communicate when they're trying to be understood. And along the way, you'll keep picking up phrases that make your English sound clear, calm, and confident. Now, let's talk about relationships and connection. Because this is where English becomes more than a skill. It becomes a bridge. At advanced levels, you're not only exchanging information, you're building trust, you're reading tone, you're choosing words carefully, you're deciding how direct to be, how soft to be, how honest to be. And one of the most common challenges for advanced learners is this. You know what you want to say, but you're not sure how it will land. You don't want to sound cold. You don't want to sound overly emotional. You don't want to sound rude, even by accident. So, we're going to practice language that helps you communicate clearly while still sounding warm and human. Let's start with something simple. Showing appreciation. In real life, people don't only say, "Thank you." They often add a small detail to make it feel genuine. I really appreciate you checking in. Thanks for taking the time. That means a lot. I don't take that for granted. I know you didn't have to do that. So thank you. I noticed what you did, and I appreciate it. Now, imagine someone helps you with something small. Maybe they cover a shift. Maybe they fix a mistake. Maybe they support you in a stressful moment. A natural response could be, "Thanks. I appreciate it. I've had a lot going on, so that really helped." Repeat that. I've had a lot going on, so that really helped. That's real English. Simple words, real feeling. Now let's practice a deeper part of relationships. Being honest without creating conflict. Sometimes you need to say something uncomfortable. You need to speak up. But you don't want to start a fight. You want to be clear, not harsh. Here are a few natural sentence starters that help you do that. Can I be honest with you about something I've been wanting to bring something up? I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I'm saying this because I care. I'm not trying to criticize you. I just want to be clear. Try repeating this one, because it's extremely useful. I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but... Now let's put it into a realistic example. I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I've been feeling a little disconnected lately. I miss talking the way we used to. That sounds human. It sounds calm. It doesn't blame. It invites conversation. Now, a big part of advanced communication is knowing how to talk about feelings without sounding dramatic. You don't need intense language. You need accurate language. Here are some natural phrases people use all the time. I've been a little off lately. I've been feeling out of sync. I'm not upset. I'm just tired. I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated. I'm okay. I'm just processing a lot. I need a bit of space to clear my head. Repeat this one. I'm okay. I'm just processing a lot. Now, let's talk about misunderstandings, because they happen in every language, and in English. The way you repair a misunderstanding can make you sound very advanced. Here are some calm repair phrases. I think we might be talking past each other. I don't think I explained myself well. Let me say that differently. That's not quite what I meant. I can see how that sounded. Thanks for telling me. I didn't realize it came across that way. That last one is very natural. I didn't realize it came across that way. Now imagine this situation. You make a comment, and someone gets quiet. You sense something is off. A fluent response might be, "Hey, did what I said bother you if it did? That wasn't my intention." That's advanced, because it's direct, but gentle. Repeat it. If it did, that wasn't my intention. Now, let's go into something subtle but powerful. Reading between the lines. At higher levels, people don't always say exactly what they mean. Sometimes they hint, sometimes they soften, sometimes they avoid direct conflict. For example, if someone says, "I'm not sure that's the best idea," they might mean, "I don't like that idea." If someone says, "We'll see," they might mean, "Probably not." If someone says, "That's interesting," the tone might mean, "I disagree," or it might mean, "Tell me more, it depends." So, at advanced levels, you listen to words, but you also listen to tone, pace, and context. Here's a helpful question you can ask when things feel unclear. What do you mean by that? But in real life, you often soften it. What do you mean by that? Exactly. Just to clarify, do you mean, "Help me understand what you're thinking"? Try repeating this. Just to clarify, do you mean? Now, let's practice a short, realistic dialogue. Imagine a coworker says, "I'll try to get to it today." That might be real effort, or it might be a polite delay. A natural response could be, "No worries, just let me know what's realistic, and we'll plan around it." That sentence is professional and calm. Repeat it. Just let me know what's realistic, and we'll plan around it. Now, connection also depends on asking good questions. And this is where many learners get stuck. They ask basic questions, and the conversation dies. So let's practice follow-up questions that keep conversations alive and sound natural. How did that go? What was that like for you? What made you decide that? Was it what you expected? How are you feeling about it now? What's been the hardest part? What's been the best part? Now imagine someone says, "I'm thinking of changing jobs." A basic response is, "Why?" A more natural, advanced response is, "Oh, wow! What's making you consider it? Are you feeling ready for a change?" That feels supportive. It invites more detail. Repeat it. What's making you consider it? Now let's shift to something many advanced learners want. Sounding natural in casual conversation, not just deep conversation. Because real life is both. Sometimes you're talking about life goals. Sometimes you're talking about lunch. So here are some everyday phrases native speakers use to keep things light. "No way. You're kidding. That's wild." "Good for you." "Fair enough." "I'm down. I'm not sure yet." "I'll see how I feel. I'm just going with the flow." "I can't complain." Try repeating this one. "I can't complain." Now let's make it more natural. When someone asks, "How's it going?" you can say, "Not bad. Just keeping busy. How about you?" Or, "I'm all right. It's been one of those weeks, but I'm managing. That second one sounds very real. It's been one of those weeks, but I'm managing. Repeat it. It's been one of those weeks, but I'm managing. Now, let's go back to the main theme of this video: clear, confident speech. Clear speech isn't only about pronunciation. It's also about choosing simple, direct sentences when you're emotional. When people are stressed, they often speak in circles. They over-explain. They add too many details. But confident speech often sounds like this: here's what I need. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can't do. Here's what I'm asking for. Let's practice. Right now, I need a bit more time. I can finish it by tomorrow, but not today. I can help for an hour, but then I need to leave. I'm happy to support you, but I can't take responsibility for all of it. These sentences are clear, calm, adult. Now, a quick reflection. Answer in your head. Do you tend to over-explain when you feel nervous? Do you soften too much, to the point where people don't understand what you want? Or do you speak too directly, and then worry you sounded rude? Most people swing between these. The goal is balance. So here's a phrase that helps you balance clarity and kindness. I want to be respectful, but I also want to be clear. Repeat it. I want to be respectful, but I also want to be clear. Now, let's take one more step into real-life conversation. Talking about personal growth without sounding like a motivational poster. Because in real life, people talk about growth in a quiet way. They say things like this: I'm working on myself. I'm trying to be more patient. I'm learning to handle stress better. I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm slowly getting better at it. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm making progress. That last sentence is extremely natural. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm making progress. Repeat it. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm making progress. And that idea applies directly to your English. You don't need to be perfect to be advanced. You need to be understandable. You need to be steady. You need to be willing to keep talking, even when the sentence isn't perfect. So keep listening, keep repeating, keep answering in your mind. Now let's move into decision-making and uncertainty. Because this is where a lot of real-life conversations get interesting. People don't just talk about what happened. They talk about what they might do next, what they're unsure about, and what they're trying to figure out. At an advanced level, you want to sound thoughtful without sounding hesitant. You want to be honest about uncertainty, but still speak with confidence. So let me ask you a few questions. Answer in your head, or out loud if you can. What's a decision you've been thinking about lately? What's making it hard to decide? Are you the type of person who trusts your gut? Or do you need a lot of information first? Now, here's something that native speakers say all the time when they're still processing a decision. I'm still thinking it through. Repeat it. I'm still thinking it through. Here are a few other natural phrases that help you speak clearly when you're not 100% sure. I'm not completely sure yet. I'm leaning toward it. But I'm not decided. I'm on the fence. I'm torn. I'm weighing my options. I need to sleep on it. I'm trying to look at the bigger picture. That one is especially useful. I'm trying to look at the bigger picture. Now, let's put these into a realistic situation. Imagine a friend says, "Are you going to take that new job?" A simple answer is, "I don't know." A more advanced, real-life answer might sound like this. "I'm leaning toward yes, but I'm still weighing the pros and cons. On paper, it's a great opportunity, but I'm not sure it fits my lifestyle right now." Notice what that does. It gives a clear direction, leaning toward yes, but it also explains the nuance. Try repeating this structure. I'm leaning toward, but. I'm leaning toward yes, but I need a little more time. Now, another useful skill at this level is expressing consequences, talking about what might happen. Here are some natural phrases for that. If I do that, it could lead to, the risk is that, the downside is, the upside is, in the long run, worst case scenario, best case scenario, either way. Repeat this one. Either way, I'll be okay. That sentence is calm and confident. It's the kind of thing people say when they're trying to move forward without overthinking. Now, speaking of overthinking, let's talk about it. Because this is incredibly common among advanced learners and honestly among humans in general. If you overthink, you often know you're overthinking, but you can't stop. Your brain keeps running. So here are natural ways people describe overthinking. I'm stuck in my head. I'm overanalyzing it. I keep going in circles. I'm thinking myself into stress. I can't switch my mind off. I'm making it bigger than it needs to be. Repeat this one. I'm making it bigger than it needs to be. Now, let's practice a short, realistic moment. Someone asks how you're doing, and you want to be honest, but not dramatic. You could say, "I'm all right. I've just had a lot on my mind lately." Repeat it. I've just had a lot on my mind lately. Now let's shift into something closely connected. Self-discipline and consistency. This topic comes up everywhere, in work conversations, in gym conversations, in study conversations, in personal conversations. People talk about routines, motivation, and the struggle to stay consistent. Here's a truth that many people learn the hard way. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you have it, some days you don't. But habits can carry you even when motivation disappears. So let's practice language that sounds real, not like a quote from the internet. I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm working on my routine. I keep falling off track. But I'm getting back to it. I'm learning not to rely on motivation. I'm building systems that make it easier. I'm taking it one day at a time. That last one is extremely common. I'm taking it one day at a time. Repeat it. I'm taking it one day at a time. Now, let's practice the kind of English you would use if you're talking to a friend about discipline. I know what I need to do. The hard part is actually doing it. I start strong, then I lose momentum. I'm trying to stop making excuses. I'm not aiming for perfect. I'm aiming for steady. Repeat this. I'm aiming for steady. Now, let's move into time management. Because it's one of the most relatable topics on the planet. Almost everyone feels like time moves too fast. So here are advanced, real-life phrases people use about time. I'm short on time today. I'm running behind. I'm trying to catch up. My week is packed. I'm booked all day. I'm trying to free up some time. I need to carve out time for myself. I keep putting it off. Repeat this one. I need to carve out time for myself. Now, imagine you're at work and someone asks, "Can you do this today?" A weak answer is no. A strong, professional, natural answer sounds like this. I can, but I'll need to deprioritize something else. What's most urgent right now? That is advanced communication. It's not defensive, it's realistic. Repeat it. What's most urgent right now? Here's another natural professional phrase. I can take that on, but I need a clear deadline. Repeat it. I need a clear deadline. Now, let's practice persuasion without sounding pushy. Persuasion is part of real life. You persuade in meetings, in negotiations, even in casual conversations. But advanced persuasion is calm, it's logical, it's respectful. Here are some natural persuasion starters. The way I see it, what makes the most sense to me is, if we look at it practically, the main benefit is, one concern I have is, I think it would be worth considering. The reason I'm suggesting this is, repeat this one. I think it would be worth considering. Now, let's use it in a real example. Imagine you want to convince someone to practice English daily. I think it would be worth considering short daily practice instead of long sessions once in a while. It keeps the language fresh in your mind, and it builds momentum. That sounds realistic. It's not extreme. It's not preachy. It's just clear. Now, another major advanced skill is summarizing. Being able to say, in a few sentences, what the main point is. Here are natural ways to summarize. So, basically, long story short, to put it simply, the main point is, what I'm trying to say is, if I had to sum it up, repeat this one. If I had to sum it up, now practice with a short summary of your English goal. If I had to sum it up, I want to speak more clearly and confidently, without overthinking every sentence. That is a strong goal, and it sounds natural. Now, let's take a step into a real-life conversation that many people face. Giving feedback. Feedback is tricky. If you're too direct, you sound rude. If you're too soft, nothing changes. So we're going to practice balanced feedback, the kind you actually hear in workplaces. I like the direction, but I think we can tighten it up. This is strong overall. One thing we could improve is clarity. I see what you're going for. My only concern is timing. It might help if we simplify the first step. I appreciate the effort. With a few adjustments, it'll be even better. Repeat this one. With a few adjustments, it'll be even better. Now, here's a key phrase that shows maturity. I'm saying this to support you, not to criticize you. Repeat it. I'm saying this to support you, not to criticize you. Now pause for a moment and check in with yourself. As you listen, do you notice your brain picking up patterns? Phrases that feel useful, rhythm that feels natural. This is how your listening turns into speaking. So keep going, keep breathing, keep repeating, keep answering those questions in your mind. Let's go into identity and change, because this is where advanced English becomes personal. At C1 and C2, you're not only describing the outside world, you're describing your inner world, your values, your personality, your boundaries, the way you think, the way you've changed, the way you want to change next. And here's something many advanced learners quietly struggle with. You can speak English, but you don't always feel like yourself in English. You might sound more serious than you are, more formal, less funny, less expressive, like you're speaking through a filter. If that's you, it's normal. Your real personality comes through when you have enough language to relax. So, today, we're practicing language that helps you sound like a real person, not a textbook. Let's begin with a simple question. When you speak English, do you feel like you're the same person you are in your native language? If the answer is not really, that's okay. Let's build the bridge. Here are some natural ways fluent speakers describe themselves. Listen to the rhythm. I'm the kind of person who likes to keep things simple. I've always been someone who values honesty. One thing people might not know about me is I'm actually more introverted than I seem. I tend to overthink, but I'm working on it. I'm pretty easygoing, but I care a lot about doing things well. Now try one of these sentence starters out loud. I'm the kind of person who... I've always been someone who... One thing people often misunderstand about me is... Now, identity is also connected to values, and values show up in real conversation all the time, especially in deeper friendships, relationships, and professional settings. Here are some natural phrases people use when talking about values. What matters to me is, I care a lot about, I value people who... One thing I can't stand is, I try to live by the idea that the older I get, the more I realize. That last one is very common. The older I get, the more I realize. Repeat it. The older I get, the more I realize that peace of mind is important. Now, let's talk about change. Because people talk about change constantly. New jobs, new cities, new routines, new relationships, new priorities. And at an advanced level, you want to describe change with nuance, not just basic words like good or bad. Here are natural phrases people use. I'm still adjusting. It took me a while to get used to it. It was a big transition. It pushed me out of my comfort zone. It was challenging, but it helped me grow. It wasn't what I expected. Looking back, I'm glad it happened. Repeat this one. It pushed me out of my comfort zone. Now, let's practice with a realistic reflection. Think of a recent change in your life, even a small one. Maybe you started waking up earlier. Maybe you changed jobs. Maybe you moved. Maybe you ended a habit. Maybe you started studying more seriously. Answer these questions in your mind. What changed? How did it feel at first? How do you feel about it now? Here's a natural advanced answer pattern you can use. At first, I felt unsure because everything was unfamiliar, but over time, I started to feel more confident. Now it feels normal, and I'm glad I gave it a chance. That's clear and natural. Now let's go deeper. Many advanced conversations include talking about confidence, insecurity, and self-doubt. Because everyone experiences it, even people who look confident from the outside. Here are natural phrases people use when they want to be honest, but not dramatic. I have my moments. I'm more confident than I used to be. I still doubt myself sometimes. I'm learning to trust myself. I'm working on my confidence. I'm trying to stop seeking approval. I'm getting better at speaking up. Repeat this one. I still doubt myself sometimes. Now, an important C1, C2 skill is expressing mixed feelings. Because real emotions are often mixed, not simple. Here are some natural sentences. I'm excited, but I'm also nervous. I feel relieved, but I'm still worried. I'm grateful, but I'm tired. I'm proud of myself, but I know I can do better. I want change, but part of me is scared. Repeat it. I'm proud of myself, but I know I can do better. That sentence shows maturity. It sounds real. Now let's shift into culture and communication style. Because this is a major part of advanced English in real life. People from different cultures have different comfort levels with directness, silence, disagreement, and emotional expression. Here are some natural ways to talk about that. Where I'm from, people tend to be more indirect. In my culture, it's common to avoid confrontation. I grew up in an environment where respect is shown through tone and manners. I've noticed that some cultures are more direct, and I actually appreciate that. It took me time to get comfortable being more straightforward. Repeat this one. It took me time to get comfortable being more straightforward. Now, imagine you're talking to someone from a different country and you want to say something respectfully about communication styles. You could say, I've noticed we communicate a bit differently, but I think we can meet in the middle. That's a great phrase. Repeat it. I think we can meet in the middle. Now, another advanced skill is expressing uncertainty without sounding weak. This is especially important in discussions, interviews, and professional conversations. You don't want to pretend you know everything, but you also don't want to sound lost. Here are strong, natural phrases for that. I don't have a definite answer, but here's my take. I'm still learning about it. But from what I've seen, I could be wrong. But my impression is, I haven't decided yet. But I'm leaning toward, I need to think about it more. But my first thought is, repeat it. My first thought is, now let's apply it to a real topic. Personal priorities. People's priorities change over time. At 18, you might prioritize freedom. At 25, you might prioritize growth. At 35, you might prioritize stability. There's no right answer. But talking about priorities is very common in real conversations. Here are natural phrases for priorities. Right now, my priority is, I'm trying to focus on, I'm putting more energy into, I'm trying to protect my time, I'm learning to say no, I'm trying to create a healthier balance, I'm focusing on long-term goals. Repeat this one. Right now, my priority is, right now, My priority is improving my English in a way that feels real, not forced. Now, let's move into something that makes your English sound mature and emotionally intelligent. Self-compassion. People talk about it more than ever because modern life is stressful, and fluent speakers often express it in a simple, grounded way. Here are natural phrases. I'm trying to be kinder to myself. I'm learning not to be so hard on myself. I'm giving myself time. I'm doing the best I can with what I have. I'm learning to accept progress, not perfection. I'm trying to take pressure off myself. Repeat this one. I'm doing the best I can. Now, a quick listening challenge. As you hear these phrases, choose one that feels true for you, just one, and say it out loud like you mean it. Maybe it's, I'm still adjusting. Maybe it's, I'm working on my confidence. Maybe it's, right now, my priority is consistency. Say it clearly, calmly, like you're talking to a real person. Now, let's connect this back to your English journey. If you want clear, confident speech, you need two things: exposure and courage. Exposure gives you the patterns. Courage gives you the voice. So, as we continue, keep listening for phrases you can steal for your own life, phrases that feel like you. And if you're still with me right now, quick reminder: like the video and subscribe to English in Motion if you want more long advanced listening sessions like this. And in the comments, tell me one phrase you heard today that you want to start using. Now let's talk about motivation and meaning, because this is one of the most common real-life conversation themes. No matter where someone lives, people talk about their goals, their struggles, their routines, their doubts, their desire to improve, and they don't always talk about it in a dramatic way. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's just one honest sentence. So let me ask you a few questions. Answer in your mind. What keeps you going when you feel tired? What makes you lose motivation? Do you feel like you're making progress? Or do you feel stuck? Now, here's a sentence that sounds simple, but it carries a lot of depth. Progress isn't always obvious. Repeat it. Progress isn't always obvious. And here's another natural one. I'm making progress, even if it's slow. Repeat it. I'm making progress, even if it's slow. At an advanced level, you want to be able to talk about your life with realism, not fake positivity, not negativity, realism. Here are some natural phrases people use when they're trying to stay motivated. I'm trying to stay consistent. I'm doing my best to keep going. I've been feeling discouraged, but I'm not giving up. I'm trying to trust the process. I'm focusing on small wins. I'm taking it step by step. That one is extremely common. I'm taking it step by step. Now let's connect it to English learning, because language learning is one of the best examples of slow progress. You practice and you don't notice change day to day. But then one day, you realize you understand more. You speak with less effort. You catch phrases naturally. You think faster. So here's a realistic, advanced reflection you can use. Some days I feel fluent, and other days I struggle. But I know it's part of the process. Repeat it. Some days I feel fluent, and other days I struggle. Now, one thing advanced speakers do very well is they talk about challenges without sounding like victims. They speak with responsibility. They own their story. Here are some phrases that show that mindset. I'm not making excuses, but it's been tough. I know I need to improve, and I'm working on it. I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm trying to be more disciplined. I'm still figuring it out. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer. Repeat this one. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer. Now let's shift into stress, because it's part of modern life everywhere. Work stress, family stress, financial stress, social pressure, digital overload. At C1 and C2, you want to express stress in a calm, precise way, not just, I'm stressed. Here are natural ways people say it. I've been under a lot of pressure. I've been feeling overwhelmed. My mind's been racing. I've been mentally exhausted. I feel stretched thin. I'm trying to hold it together. I'm managing, but it's been a lot. Repeat it. I'm managing, but it's been a lot. Now, a big part of advanced English is being able to talk about coping, how you handle stress, how you recover. Here are natural coping phrases. I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to get my priorities straight. I'm learning to set boundaries. I'm cutting back on things that drain me. I'm trying to take better care of myself. I need time to recharge. I'm focusing on what I can control. Repeat this one. I'm focusing on what I can control. Now, let's explore a topic that often comes up when people talk about motivation. Comparison. Because social media makes it easy to compare your life to other people's highlight reels, their success, their travel, their lifestyle, their career. So here are natural phrases people use. It's hard not to compare sometimes. I know I shouldn't, but I do. I'm trying to stay in my own lane. I'm trying to focus on my path. I'm learning that comparison steals my peace. That last one sounds a bit poetic, but people do say it. If you want a more casual version, you can say this. Comparison messes with my head. Repeat it. Comparison messes with my head. Now, let's practice a natural conversation about motivation with a friend. Imagine your friend says, I feel stuck. You could respond like this. Yeah, I get that. Do you feel stuck because you don't know what to do? Or because you don't have the energy to do it? That question is very real and very helpful. Repeat it. Do you feel stuck because you don't know what to do? Or because you don't have the energy to do it? Now imagine your friend says, I'm trying, but nothing is changing. You could say, I hear you, but sometimes change is slow. You might be making progress that you can't see yet. That's supportive and realistic. Now, let's bring this back to your speaking skills. One reason you might not feel fluent is because you expect your speech to be perfect, and perfection creates pressure. Pressure creates hesitation. Hesitation makes you feel less fluent. So the goal is not perfect English. The goal is calm English. Here's a phrase that captures this. I just want to communicate clearly. Repeat it. I just want to communicate clearly. Now, we're going to practice speaking about purpose, which is a very common C1, C2 topic. People talk about purpose in interviews, coaching sessions, late-night conversations, even casual chats. Here are natural phrases about purpose. I want to build a life that I'm proud of. I want my life to reflect my values. I'm trying to find work that feels meaningful. I'm still figuring out what I want long term. I don't have it all mapped out, but I'm moving forward. Repeat this one. I don't have it all mapped out, but I'm moving forward. Now, a powerful advanced skill is being able to reflect without sounding overly serious. You can sound thoughtful and still sound natural. Here are some reflection starters native speakers use. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. It's made me realize something. The more I think about it, the more I feel that I'm starting to see it differently. Looking back, I understand why. Repeat this one. It's made me realize something. Now, let's do a short reflection together. Imagine you're talking about your English journey. I've been thinking about my English a lot lately. It's made me realize that I don't need to know every word. I need to be able to express my ideas with confidence. So I'm focusing on clarity and consistency. That sounds real. That sounds like a person talking. Now pause and breathe. As you continue listening, your brain is collecting patterns. And that's exactly how you build fluency. Now, let's widen the lens a little and practice the kind of English people use when they talk about society, culture, and the way the world is changing. These are the conversations that often happen at work, at university, in international friend groups, and even in casual chats when someone says, "Have you noticed how different things are now?" At an advanced level, the key isn't having perfect facts. The key is sounding balanced, calm, and thoughtful. You want to share an opinion without sounding extreme. You want to show nuance. So here's a question to start. Do you feel like modern life is getting easier or more complicated? Think about your first answer. Then add one more layer. Why? A natural advanced response might sound like this. In some ways, life is definitely more convenient than it used to be. We can access information instantly, communicate across the world, and solve problems faster. At the same time, I think life feels mentally heavier because there's constant noise and constant pressure to keep up. Notice the structure, in some ways, at the same time. That's a very common pattern. Try repeating it. In some ways, it's easier. At the same time, it's more complicated. Now let's talk about technology, because it's everywhere, and people talk about it all the time. Here are a few questions. Answer in your mind. Do you feel like your attention span has changed over the past few years? Do you feel more productive with technology or more distracted? Do you feel like you control your phone or your phone controls you? Now, here are some natural phrases people use when they talk about this topic. I get distracted more easily than I used to. My attention is all over the place sometimes. I'm trying to cut down on screen time. I feel like I'm always on. I miss having more quiet time. I've been trying to be more present. That last phrase is extremely common. I've been trying to be more present. Repeat it. I've been trying to be more present. Now let's add a useful advanced phrase that shows balance. There's a trade-off. Repeat it. There's a trade-off. And here's how you can use it in real conversation. Technology makes things easier, but there's a trade-off. It can also make it harder to focus. Now, let's move into something very current in real-life conversations. AI and automation. You don't need technical vocabulary to talk about it well. You just need clear, everyday language. Here are some questions. Do you think AI will mostly help people or mostly replace people? Are you excited about it or cautious? Do you think schools should teach students how to use AI responsibly? Now listen to a calm, advanced response. I'm not against AI at all. I think it can make work faster and reduce repetitive tasks. That being said, I do worry about how quickly some jobs might disappear, especially for people who don't have many options. I think the best approach is to adapt, learn new skills, and make sure the technology is used responsibly. Notice the phrases, I'm not against it. That being said, I do worry. The best approach. Repeat this one. That being said, I do worry about. Now, another C1, C2 skill is being able to talk about society without sounding like you're preaching. The way you do that is by using soft, reasonable language. Instead of everyone is addicted to their phones, you can say, it feels like a lot of people are more glued to their phones lately. Instead of society is getting worse, you can say, sometimes it feels like people are more stressed than they used to be. That it feels like phrase is powerful. Repeat it. It feels like people are carrying more stress these days. Now, let's practice another topic. People discuss worldwide news and information. Some people follow the news constantly, some people avoid it, and many people feel stuck in the middle. Because staying informed can also feel overwhelming. Here are natural phrases people use. I try to stay informed, but I can't consume news all day. I go through phases where I follow everything, then I need a break. Some headlines feel designed to make you anxious. I prefer to read long-form articles instead of scrolling. I try to check sources before I believe something. Repeat this one. I try to check sources before I believe something. Now, let's move into another deep but common topic: culture and communication. If you speak English internationally, you'll notice something. People don't only have different accents, they have different conversation habits. Some people interrupt more, some people pause more. Some people value directness, some people value politeness and indirect hints. So here are some questions. Do you feel comfortable saying no directly? Do you tend to soften your opinions? Do you find small talk easy or awkward? Now, here's a natural advanced answer that doesn't sound too heavy. I'm getting better at being direct, but I still soften a lot. I don't like creating tension, so I usually try to keep things polite. But I'm learning that being clear is actually kinder in the long run. That sentence is very real. Repeat it. Being clear is kinder in the long run. Now, one of the biggest signs of advanced English is being able to explain something abstract using simple language. Let's practice that. Here's the abstract topic: happiness. People talk about happiness constantly, but it means different things to different people. So try answering this question in your mind. What does happiness look like for you? Realistically, not a perfect life, a realistic one. Here's a natural response. Honestly, happiness for me is feeling calm most days. It's having enough time, enough health, and people I can trust. I don't need everything to be perfect. I just want my life to feel stable and meaningful. Notice the phrases: most days, enough time, people I can trust, stable and meaningful. Now repeat this short line. I just want my life to feel stable and meaningful. Now let's add a storytelling moment. Because real conversation often shifts into stories. Imagine someone asks you, when did you realize you needed to change something? A natural answer could sound like this. I remember this one moment where I caught myself rushing through everything, even the things I used to enjoy. I was always thinking about the next task, and I thought, what's the point if I can't even feel my own life? That's when I started making small changes, like taking walks without my phone and actually resting without guilt. That story is simple, but it sounds advanced because it's reflective. Now, a quick mini exercise. Repeat this question as practice for natural rhythm. What's the point if I can't even feel my own life? Now let's pivot to another topic people discuss everywhere: education and learning. Some people love formal education. Others feel it doesn't prepare you for real life. This is a perfect topic for balanced opinions. Here are useful phrases. I'm grateful for what I learned, but I wish it had been more practical. School teaches knowledge, but not always skills. I think learning never really stops. These days, you can teach yourself almost anything if you have discipline. The challenge is staying focused. Repeat it. The challenge is staying focused. Now, let's practice how to express a balanced opinion with a clear structure. This is a great C1, C2 pattern. I see the value in X. At the same time, I think Y. Try it. I see the value in traditional education. At the same time, I think practical skills matter just as much. Now, let's connect these topics back to speaking clearly and confidently. Because when conversations get deeper, people often start rambling. They add too many details. They lose the listener. So here's a simple rule for clear speech. Make your point, then explain it, then stop. Here are some phrases that help you stay structured. The main point is, what I mean is, in other words, let me give you an example. To keep it simple. Repeat this one. To keep it simple. To keep it simple, I think technology is helpful, but we need boundaries. Now, a quick engagement reminder, because it really helps if you're still listening right now. Comment one topic you want to practice more in advanced English. Work conversations, relationships, debates, interviews, or daily life storytelling. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you're always welcome to join English in Motion for more long, realistic practice. Now let's talk about mistakes, setbacks, and learning the hard way. Because this is one of the most human conversation topics you can have. People don't just talk about their wins. They talk about what didn't work, what they regret, what they would do differently, and what they've learned. And being able to talk about that in English, calmly and clearly, is a huge sign of C1, C2 fluency. Let me ask you a few questions. Answer honestly in your head. What's something you've learned recently that surprised you? Is there a mistake you made that taught you something valuable? Is there something you used to believe that you've changed your mind about? Now, here's a phrase native speakers use all the time when they talk about lessons. It taught me a lot. Repeat it. It taught me a lot. Here are a few other natural phrases for talking about mistakes and growth. I learned the hard way. Looking back, I would handle it differently. I didn't realize it at the time. It was a wake-up call. It was a tough lesson. It humbled me. It forced me to grow. I had to own my part in it. I'm grateful it happened, even though it hurt. That one is powerful. I'm grateful it happened, even though it hurt. Now let's practice a realistic story about a setback. Listen to the structure, then you can borrow it for your own stories. A while ago, I took on too much because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I kept saying yes, even when I didn't have the time or energy. At first, I felt proud that people trusted me, but then I started feeling exhausted and resentful. Eventually, I realized I wasn't being responsible. I was just avoiding discomfort. That experience taught me that saying no is part of being healthy. Now, I try to be honest earlier instead of burning out later. That story sounds like a real person talking. Notice the vocabulary is simple, but the thinking is deep. Try repeating this sentence. I took on too much because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. Now, let's take a moment to focus on a key advanced skill, reflecting without blaming. In English, mature speakers often take responsibility without attacking themselves. They speak with balance. Here are some natural phrases for that. I'm not proud of how I handled it, but I learned from it. I made a mistake, and I take responsibility. I could have done better, but I did the best I could at the time. I see it differently now. I've grown since then. I'm trying not to repeat that pattern. Repeat this one. I did the best I could at the time. Now, let's connect this to English learning. Because many learners feel embarrassed when they make mistakes. Here's a healthy, advanced mindset in English. Mistakes are part of the process. Repeat it. Mistakes are part of the process. And here's a more personal version. I'm not embarrassed about mistakes anymore. I'm focused on progress. Repeat it. I'm focused on progress. Now, let's practice talking about regret. Because regret is a common topic in deep conversations. But advanced speakers don't always use the word regret. They often soften it. Here are natural ways to express regret. I wish I had done that differently. If I could go back, I'd change a few things. In hindsight, that wasn't the best choice. I underestimated how serious it was. I ignored the signs. I didn't listen to my gut. I should have spoken up sooner. Repeat this one. I should have spoken up sooner. Now, let's move into a topic that often comes up when people talk about growth: patterns. People talk about patterns in relationships, work, habits, and emotions. At advanced levels, you want to be able to describe your patterns without sounding too clinical. Here are natural phrases people use. I've noticed a pattern in myself. I tend to do this when I'm stressed. I fall into the same habits. I shut down when I feel overwhelmed. I get defensive sometimes. I overthink instead of acting. I avoid hard conversations. Repeat it. I've noticed a pattern in myself. Now, a key C1, C2 skill is being able to talk about failure without making it a big dramatic event. You can describe it in a grounded way. Here are some natural sentences. It didn't work out the way I hoped. I failed at it. But I learned something. I was disappointed, but I moved on. It was a setback, not the end. It bruised my ego, but it made me wiser. It was frustrating, but it pushed me to improve. Repeat this one. It was a setback, not the end. Now, let's practice a common life topic: plans that didn't go as expected. People say things like this: I had a plan, and life had other ideas. I thought it would go one way, but it went another. I wasn't prepared for how hard it would be. It was harder than I expected. It took longer than I expected, but I got through it. Repeat this. It took longer than I expected. Now, one thing that makes your English sound extremely natural is using small, casual phrases in serious topics. Native speakers do that all the time. For example, honestly, I was a mess. I'm not going to lie. It was rough. I didn't see it coming. I was in over my head. It hit me out of nowhere. I had to get it together. Repeat this one. I was in over my head. Now, let's shift into another advanced skill: expressing forgiveness and letting go. These topics come up in personal conversations, therapy conversations, and even casual talks between friends. Here are natural phrases. I'm trying to let it go. I'm working on forgiving myself. I've made peace with it. I don't want to carry that anymore. I've learned to accept it. I'm moving forward. Repeat it. I'm moving forward. Now, a powerful advanced phrase that people use when they're talking about growth is this: I'm a different person now. Repeat it. I'm a different person now. And if you want to soften it, you can say, I've changed a lot. Now, let's pause for reflection. Answer in your mind. What's one thing you've learned the hard way? What's one mistake that made you wiser? What's one pattern you're trying to break? Even thinking about these questions in English strengthens your ability to express real life. Now let's talk about conflict, boundaries, and difficult conversations. Because this is where clear, confident speech really matters. When everything is calm, it's easy to speak. But when you're stressed, disappointed, or frustrated, your English can fall apart. You might get quiet. You might over-explain. You might sound harsher than you intended. That's normal. So, in this section, we're going to practice real-life language that helps you stay calm, stay respectful, and still be clear. Let's start with a simple truth. Avoiding conflict doesn't always create peace. Sometimes it just creates distance. Now, here are natural phrases people use when they want to bring up a problem without starting a fight. Can we talk about something for a minute? I've been meaning to bring this up. I don't want to argue. I just want to understand. I want us to be on the same page. I'm not blaming you. I just want to explain how I feel. Repeat this one. I don't want to argue. I just want to understand. Now, one of the most advanced communication skills is using I statements. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Instead of saying, "You never listen," you say, "I don't feel heard." Instead of, "You're always late," you say, "I feel stressed when we don't start on time." This keeps the conversation calmer and more mature. Here are some natural I statements. I feel uncomfortable when that happens. I felt hurt by what you said. I felt ignored. I need more clarity. I need more consistency. I need a little more support. I need some space right now. Repeat it. I need more clarity. Now, boundaries. Boundaries are not rude. Boundaries are honest. And a lot of learners struggle to set boundaries in English because they're afraid of sounding cold. So let's practice boundaries that sound respectful. I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to pass. Thanks for understanding. I can't commit to that right now. I'm not available this weekend. I need to think about it before I say yes. That doesn't work for me. Can we do something else instead? I'm not comfortable with that. Repeat this one. I'm not comfortable with that. Now, let's make it softer. Because native speakers often soften boundaries. I'm not comfortable with that, to be honest. I don't think that's a good fit for me. I'd rather not. I'd prefer not to. I'm going to have to say no on this one. That last one is very natural. I'm going to have to say no on this one. Repeat it. I'm going to have to say no on this one. Now, let's talk about disagreements. At C1 and C2, disagreement should sound calm and intelligent, not emotional and reactive. Here are advanced but natural ways to disagree. I see what you mean, but I see it differently. I get your point, but I'm not convinced. That's fair. But I don't think it applies here. I understand your perspective. I just don't share it. I respect your opinion, but I have a different take. Repeat this one. I respect your opinion, but I have a different take. Now, a very common conversation problem is when someone misunderstands your tone. Maybe you were stressed, and you sounded sharp. Maybe you were trying to be direct, and you came across as rude. So here are calm repair phrases. I'm sorry if that came across the wrong way. That wasn't my intention. Let me try again. I'm not upset with you. I'm just frustrated about the situation. I didn't mean to sound harsh. Thanks for being patient with me. Repeat it. That wasn't my intention. Now, let's practice a realistic workplace situation. This is common anywhere in the world. Someone keeps messaging you after work hours, and you want to set a boundary. A natural advanced response might be, "Hey, just a quick note. I'm trying to keep evenings offline so I can rest. If it's urgent, call me. Otherwise, I'll reply tomorrow morning." That sounds respectful and clear. Repeat this sentence. I'm trying to keep evenings offline so I can rest. Now, let's practice another realistic situation. Someone interrupts you repeatedly. A calm response could be, "Can I just finish my thought? Then I'd love to hear your view." That's strong, not rude. Repeat it. Can I just finish my thought? Now. Conflict also happens in personal relationships. And one of the hardest things is expressing disappointment without attacking. Here are natural phrases. I was honestly disappointed. I expected something different. I felt let down. I needed you there. I wish you had told me sooner. I'm not mad, but I am hurt. I care about this, so it matters to me. Repeat it. I'm not mad, but I am hurt. Now, let's talk about calmness. When emotions rise, advanced speakers slow down. They use short sentences. They pause. Here are phrases that help you slow the moment down. Let's take a step back. Let's not do this right now. I need a minute. Can we talk about this when we're calmer? I don't want to say something I'll regret. I want to handle this respectfully. Repeat this one. I don't want to say something I'll regret. Now, another advanced skill is acknowledging the other person's feelings. Even when you disagree, that's emotional intelligence. Here are natural phrases. I hear you. I can see why you feel that way. That makes sense. I get that. I understand why you're upset. Your feelings are valid. Repeat it. I can see why you feel that way. Now, this doesn't mean you surrender. It means you stay human. So here's a balanced sentence. I can see why you feel that way. At the same time, here's how I see it. Repeat it. At the same time, here's how I see it. Now, let's practice a common conflict topic, time and reliability. Imagine you're talking to someone who often cancels plans last minute. A calm, advanced response could be, I understand things come up, but when plans change last minute, it throws off my day. Can you let me know earlier next time? That's clear and respectful. Repeat it. When plans change last minute, it throws off my day. Now, a quick reflection. In your culture, do people prefer direct communication or indirect communication? Do you avoid conflict, or do you address it quickly? There's no perfect style, but at C1, C2, you want flexibility. You want to adapt based on the situation. Now, one final piece of conflict language. Closing a hard conversation with maturity. Here are natural closing phrases. I'm glad we talked. Thanks for hearing me out. I appreciate you listening. Let's check in again later. I think we made progress. I want us to move forward. Repeat it. Thanks for hearing me out. Now, if you're still with me, like the video and subscribe to English in Motion, and in the comments, tell me which phrase you want to practice most. I don't want to argue. I just want to understand. Or, I'm not comfortable with that. Or, thanks for hearing me out. Now, let's talk about confidence under pressure. Because real life doesn't always give you time to feel ready. Sometimes you have to speak before you feel comfortable. You have a meeting, an interview, a presentation, a phone call with someone important, or even a simple situation where someone asks you a question unexpectedly and your mind goes blank. At advanced levels, confidence isn't the absence of nerves, it's the ability to speak anyway, with a steady voice and a clear message. So, let me ask you something. When you feel nervous speaking English, what happens to you? Do you speak too fast? Do you freeze? Do you start using very simple words and forget everything, you know? Do you over-explain because you're trying to sound smart? All of these are common, and the solution is not perfect grammar. The solution is having a few reliable structures you can fall back on when you're under pressure. Let's start with the moment your brain goes blank. Native speakers also have that moment. They just handle it differently. They buy time naturally. Here are real phrases people use to buy time. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. Give me a moment to frame that properly. Let me collect my thoughts. Off the top of my head, I'd say. I haven't thought about it in a while, but... Repeat this one. Give me a moment to frame that properly. That phrase sounds calm and professional. Now, let's move into interviews. Because interviews are one of the most stressful speaking situations for learners. And the funny thing is, interview English is often simpler than people think. What matters is structure, clarity, and tone. Let's practice the most common interview question in the world. Tell me about yourself. A lot of learners panic here. They either talk too long or they say almost nothing. So here's a simple advanced structure that works almost every time. Present, past, future. Present, what you do now. Past, how you got here. Future, what you're looking for next. Listen to this example. So, at the moment, I'm working in a role where I focus on problem solving and communication across teams. Before that, I built my experience by taking on a mix of responsibilities that helped me become more organized and adaptable. And now I'm looking for an opportunity where I can grow, contribute more, and work in an environment that values clear communication. That sounds professional, but it still sounds human. Now repeat this sentence starter. At the moment, I'm working in a role where I... Now, let's practice another common question. What are your strengths? A basic answer is, I'm hardworking. A more advanced answer sounds like this. One of my strengths is that I stay calm under pressure. I'm the type of person who can prioritize quickly when things get hectic. I also communicate clearly, so people know what to expect. Notice the pattern. One of my strengths is, I'm the type of person who, I also. Repeat it. I'm the type of person who can... Now, the next question is also common. What's a weakness you're working on? Advanced speakers don't pretend to be perfect. They show awareness and improvement. Here's a natural answer. I can be a bit of a perfectionist, so sometimes I spend too much time polishing details. I've been working on setting clearer time limits for myself, so I can stay efficient without sacrificing quality. That's realistic. Repeat this phrase. I've been working on. Now, let's practice handling a difficult question without sounding defensive. Why did you leave your last job? A calm answer might be, "It was a good experience, and I learned a lot. But I reached a point where I felt ready for a new challenge and more room to grow." That's all. Simple, respectful, no drama. Repeat it. I reached a point where I felt ready for a new challenge. Now, let's talk about presenting ideas in meetings, because confidence is not just interviews, it's speaking in groups. In meetings, fluent speakers often use signposting. They guide the listener. Here are very common signposting phrases. Here's the main point. Let me give you some context. The way I see it is, there are two things to consider. The first is, the second is, to sum it up. Repeat this one. Let me give you some context. Now, imagine you're presenting an idea. A natural start could be, "Let me give you some context. We've been seeing delays in the workflow, and it's starting to affect quality. I think we can fix this by simplifying the process and clarifying ownership." That sounds clear and confident. Now, a major part of confidence is handling interruptions politely. If someone cuts you off, you don't need to fight. You can steer the conversation back. Here are natural phrases. "Let me finish this point. Then I'll come back to that. That's a good point, and I'll address it in a second. I hear you. Just give me one moment to wrap this up." Repeat it. Just give me one moment to wrap this up. Now, what about when you disagree in a meeting, but you don't want tension? Here's a calm advanced sentence. "I understand the idea, but I'm concerned about the timeline. If we go this route, we might run into delays." That's clear, and it sounds responsible. Repeat it. "I'm concerned about the timeline." Now, let's practice one of the hardest speaking situations, when someone challenges you or questions your decision. In those moments, the goal is not to win. The goal is to stay composed. Here are phrases that keep you calm. "That's a fair question. I can see why you'd ask that." "Let me explain my reasoning. Here's what led me to that conclusion. I'm open to other approaches, but here's why I suggested this one." Repeat it. Let me explain my reasoning. Now, let's talk about confidence in small talk. Because it matters more than people realize. Small talk is how you build comfort before serious talk. Before a meeting, people say things like, "How's your day going so far? Did you have a good weekend? How's everything on your end? It's been a busy week, hasn't it? Thanks for making the time today." Repeat this one. Thanks for making the time today. Now, let's practice a real-life situation. You're joining a video call. You want to sound confident right away, even if you're nervous. You can say, "Hi everyone, thanks for joining." Before we start, "Can you hear me clearly? Great." So today, I'd like to go over 2 quick points and then open it up for questions. That sounds smooth and professional. Now, let's practice confidence when you don't know something. This is crucial because panic makes you look less confident than not knowing. Confident people say things like, "I don't have that information in front of me, but I can follow up. I'm not certain, so I don't want to guess. Let me check and get back to you. I can't speak to that yet, but here's what I do know." Repeat it. "I don't want to guess." Now, a quick mindset shift. Confidence often comes from permission. Permission to pause. Permission to speak simply. Permission to be human. So if you feel nervous, try this sentence in your head. It's okay. I can take my time. Repeat it out loud. I can take my time. Now, here's a short exercise. Imagine someone asks you a question and you feel pressure. Use this pattern. Acknowledge, pause, answer. Add one example. Acknowledge. That's a great question. Pause. Let me think for a second. Answer. In my experience, communication works best when expectations are clear. Example. For example, when deadlines are discussed early, people collaborate more smoothly. That pattern makes you sound fluent even when you're nervous. Now let's talk about trust and connection. Because this is what makes your English feel truly real. When you can build trust in English, you stop sounding like a learner and start sounding like a person people want to talk to. And trust isn't built by big words. It's built by small moments. The way you listen, the way you respond, the way you show respect, the way you handle misunderstandings, the way you communicate when things are stressful. So let's start with a simple question. When you feel comfortable with someone, what changes in your speech? Most people become more relaxed. They use more natural phrases. They laugh more. They pause less. They stop translating. That's the goal, not to perform English, but to live in English. Now, in real life. Trust shows up in two big areas: personal relationships and professional relationships. Let's begin with professional trust, because it's very practical, and you can use it anywhere in the world. At work, trust often comes down to three things: clarity, reliability, respect. Clarity means people know what you mean. Reliability means people can count on you. Respect means people feel safe communicating with you. So here are some natural phrases that build professional trust immediately. Just to confirm, here's what I understood. I'll make sure to follow through on that. Thanks for the clarity. I'll keep you posted. I'll circle back once I have an update. Let me know if anything changes. I appreciate you flagging that. Repeat this one. I'll keep you posted. That phrase is simple, but it sounds fluent and professional. Now, another important skill is asking for help without sounding weak. Strong communicators ask for help early, not late. Here are natural ways to ask for help. Could you give me a hand with this? Can I run something by you? I'd love your input on this. Could you take a look when you have a minute? I'm not sure I'm approaching this the right way. Do you have any suggestions? Repeat it. Can I run something by you? Now, in real work conversations. People also build trust by being honest about capacity. They don't promise what they can't deliver. Here are natural phrases for that. I can take that on, but I'll need more time. I'm at capacity right now. I can do it, but I can't do it today. I want to be realistic about the timeline. I don't want to overpromise. Repeat this. I don't want to overpromise. Now let's talk about teamwork language. Because advanced English is often about collaboration. When you work with others, you need phrases that reduce tension and increase clarity. Here are very common phrases. How can I support you? What do you need from me? Let's align on next steps. Who owns this? What's the priority here? Let's make sure we're on the same page. I'm happy to help. Repeat it. Let's make sure we're on the same page. Now, a subtle but powerful trust skill is giving credit. People remember how you treat them, and in English-speaking workplaces, giving credit is normal and appreciated. Here are natural phrases. Credit to you for that. You handled that really well. I want to recognize the effort you put in. Thanks for stepping up. That made a big difference. I appreciate how you handled that situation. Repeat this one. That made a big difference. Now let's shift into personal trust, because this is where your emotional vocabulary matters. In personal relationships, trust often comes from feeling understood. So here are natural phrases that show understanding. I get what you mean. That makes sense. I can see why you'd feel that way. That sounds tough. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. Do you want advice, or do you just want to vent? That last question is very real. Do you want advice, or do you just want to vent? Repeat it. Do you want advice, or do you just want to vent? Now, let's talk about being supportive in a way that sounds natural, not cheesy. Here are supportive phrases native speakers actually use. I'm here if you need me. Take your time. That's a lot to carry. You don't have to handle this alone. I'm rooting for you. You're doing better than you think. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you'll get through it. Repeat this one. You're doing better than you think. Now, let's practice a realistic situation. A friend says, I've been really stressed lately. A basic response is, oh. A natural advanced response is, I'm sorry you've been feeling that way. What's been going on? Is it work, or is it something else? That response shows empathy and curiosity. Repeat it. What's been going on? Now, another part of trust is honesty. But honesty without kindness can feel like aggression. So advanced speakers often soften honesty with warmth. Here are phrases that help you speak honestly without sounding harsh. I want to be honest with you. I care about you. So I'm going to say this directly. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I'm telling you this because I respect you. I might be wrong, but this is how it feels to me. Repeat this one. I might be wrong, but this is how it feels to me. Now, let's talk about rebuilding trust after tension. Because real relationships always have moments of misunderstanding. Here are calm repair phrases. I'm glad we're talking about this. I don't want this to build up between us. I'm sorry for my tone earlier. I was stressed. But that's not an excuse. I should have communicated better. I appreciate you bringing it up. I want us to move forward. Repeat it. I don't want this to build up between us. Now, one of the best ways to sound fluent and trustworthy is to use simple language with a steady tone. For example, when you're upset, instead of using big words, say, I didn't like how that felt. I need you to be honest with me. I need more consistency. I need to know what to expect. I don't want to guess where we stand. Repeat this. I don't want to guess where we stand. Now let's move into another real-life skill that builds connection quickly, asking better questions. Many learners ask questions like, "Where are you from? What do you do?" These are fine, but to sound more natural, add a small detail. So instead of, "What do you do?" say, "What do you do, and do you enjoy it?" Instead of, "Where are you from?" say, "Where are you from originally, and what do you miss most about it?" Instead of, "Do you like your job?" say, "What do you like most about your job?" These feel more human. Repeat this question. What do you like most about it? Now, another advanced connection tool is sharing a small piece of yourself. Trust is a two-way street. If you only ask questions, you can sound like an interviewer. If you share a little, you sound like a friend. Here are natural sharing phrases. To be honest, I've been going through something similar. I can relate to that. That reminds me of something I experienced. I used to feel that way too. I've been thinking about that lately. Repeat it. I can relate to that. Now, a quick mini practice. Imagine you meet someone and you want to build connection without forcing it. You can say, "It's nice to meet you. How's your week been so far?" Or, "How's your day going? Anything interesting happened today?" Or, "So, what do you usually do for fun when you're not busy?" That last question is very natural. Repeat it. What do you usually do for fun? Now, let's connect this back to your English journey, if you want clear. Confident speech. You need more than vocabulary. You need comfort. And comfort comes from repetition in real contexts. So keep listening for phrases you can actually use in your life. Don't try to memorize everything. Just pick a few expressions that match your personality. And if you're still listening, leave a comment with one phrase you want to practice this week. Maybe I'll keep you posted. Or, can I run something by you, or do you want advice? Or do you just want to vent? Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end of this 2-hour advanced listening session here on English in Motion. If you're still listening right now, I want you to pause for a second and give yourself credit. You just spent real time with English, not random English, not textbook English, real life English. And that kind of practice adds up more than you think. Before we finish, let's end with a short final reflection. No pressure, just answer in your mind. What's one phrase you heard today that you can actually use this week? What's one topic that felt easy for you? And what's one topic that still feels challenging? Now, here's a reminder that a lot of advanced learners need to hear. Fluency is not about sounding perfect. It's about sounding clear. It's about feeling comfortable. It's about being able to express your thoughts without fear, even when you're not 100% sure of the exact words. So if your English feels slow sometimes, that's normal. If you hesitate, that's normal. If you make mistakes, that's normal. The goal is not 0 mistakes. The goal is steady progress. Here's a simple promise you can make to yourself. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep listening. I'll keep practicing. Repeat it in your mind. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep listening. I'll keep practicing. And if you want one small challenge for the next 7 days, do this. Choose 5 expressions from today's session. Just 5. Write them down. Say them out loud every day. And then try to use at least one of them in a real message, a real conversation, or even a short voice note to yourself. That's how English becomes automatic. That's how you stop translating. That's how you start speaking with calm, confident flow. If this video helped you, please like the video. It really supports the channel and helps this lesson reach more learners around the world. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to English in Motion so you don't miss the next long listening practice. Also, I'd love to hear from you. In the comments, tell me your level right now and tell me one thing you want to improve most. Speaking faster, sounding more natural, using better vocabulary, or feeling more confident in real conversations. Thank you again for learning with me today. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.